Hello, good to see you. This is MacNN One More Thing, and it's the episode with nothing in it.
Here's the thing. The D Green is...
Hang on, did you just skip to another podcast? Wait. When I say we've got nothing, I mean...
Now, let's be clear.
Well, how about this? Lots to cover but not out yet. How's that? Lots to cover but not out. Actually, that's a lie, really. Many of this week's best items, and at least one of this week's thingies, is out. I just haven't got one. And there's a fair chance you haven't yet either. But there's also a big exception. This isn't all things we haven't got. There's also a film that isn't out yet.
I was angry. You were saying things about the Apple II, and the way you were treating the team was...
You get a free pass for life. I gotta get back on stage. We got like 2 minutes of rehearsal time left.
Do you understand how condescending that just was?
What?
I mean, maybe you don't.
I don't want to see you get dragged off.
I get a free pass for life from you. You give out the pass. You give them to me.
You're gonna have a stroke, little buddy.
What did you do? What did you do? Why has Lisa not heard of me?
Man, how many fourth graders have heard of you?
You can't write code. You're not an engineer. You're not a designer. You can't put a hammer to a nail. I built the circuit board. The graphical interface was stolen from Xerox PARC. Jeff Raskin was the leader of the Mac team before you threw him off his own project. Everything, someone else designed the box. So how come 10 times in a day, I read Steve Jobs as a genius? What do you do?
I play the orchestra. Right there, you're the best in your...
Clear the air. Do you know why I came
Can
here?
you just answer that?
I came here because you're gonna get... Your computer's gonna fail. You had a college and university advisory board telling you they need a powerful workstation for $2,000 to $3,000. You priced Next at $6,500, and that doesn't include the optional $3,000 hard drive, which people will discover isn't optional because the optical disc is too weak to do anything, and the $2,500 laser printer brings the total to $12,000. And in the entire world, you are the only person who cares that it's housed in a perfect cube. You're gonna get killed. And I came here to stand next to you while that happens, because that's what friends do. That's what men do. I don't need your pass. We go back, so don't talk to me like I'm other people. I'm the only one that knows that this guy here is someone you invented. I'm standing by you because that perfect cube, that does nothing, is about to be the single biggest failure in the history of personal computing.
Tell me something else I don't know.
This is the week that Steve Jobs opened in cinemas, but it opened in the States, and I'm in the UK, where we've got a month yet. Apparently, it's doing really well. That's very nice. Oh, sorry, I should say, hello, I'm William Gallagher, and keeping you and I company with what is becoming steadily ever more stale popcorn while we wait, it's Malcolm Owen. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello there.
Now, Malcolm, I heard news this week that I just knew. I thought, that's Malcolm. That man is salivating. Apple has just released new iMacs, and I want one. No, strike that, I want two. One for me, one for my wife, Angela Gallagher. Hey, actually, what the hell? One for you as well, because you're nice, and you deserve a proper computer. But are you fussed about the exciting, fantastic new iMacs?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask about being fussed about new iMacs, quite frankly. Just to be clear, Apple has announced a pair of changes to the iMac landscape. On the 21.5-inch iMacs, there's now a 4K version, which is a brand new option. It's got the usual items you'd expect, so a Broadwell processor. So in this case, it's a 3.1 gigahertz quad-core Intel i5 processor. Can go up to a quad-core i7 clocked at 3.3. There's no discrete GPU, but you do have Intel Iris Pro 6200 or 6200, depending on how you want to pronounce that. You get 8 gig or 16 gig of RAM, 1 terabyte, 5,400 RPM hard drive as standard, but you can do the Fusion drive to 2 terabytes. usual connectivity options. Aside from that, there's also a new Retina 5K iMac. So we had the 5K before, but in this instance, what they've done is they've added a quad-core i5 processor clocked at 3.2 GHz with an option for Core i5 3.3 and even a quad-core i7 clocked at 4 GHz. GPU options are all Radeon R9 based GPUs.
Do you know, you say all that, and I'm a little disappointed because I've lain awake at nights dreaming of a 3.4 gigahertz i-core something. Yeah, I'm over here on the new, really nice, very fast, shiny Gimme. That's my end of things. What do those specs actually matter to me? I mean, I get that it's probably best in class, certainly the best Apple's done in it, but are there things in there that I will directly notice? The Retina display, for example, that's going to be a clear difference. Are there other things in there that I should actually think I should ditch my late 2012 iMac and go for it?
Well, this is just coming from someone who's more of a medium user rather than a power user. If you're using it for lots of video editing and so on and so forth, the 5K upgrades are going to be at least worthwhile if you need that extra power. With the 4K screen, that's a new product entirely, so that's certainly welcome. They've never had a 4K screen before, and now they do.
Is that in the... I can never hold it in my head. It's 21 and a bit inch, or
21 and a half, yes.
I remember, I mean, it's 3 years now when I started looking at moving from a Mac Pro to an iMac, and I rejected the 21 inch straight away. I just thought, if you're going to go for power, go for 27, and all these years later I actually could not justify changing this Mac. It's still superb for what I need, but I hear you. I'm going to get a job editing video if it kills me, hopefully one that pays well enough to buy one of these. Okay.
I mean, from my viewpoint, because you said this at the beginning, I'm not really hugely interested in these stupidly powerful high-resolution Macs. I prefer having high resolution but spread across multiple screens. So long as I have a cheaper system that I can plug another monitor into, so I got two screens, I'm happy with that. I'm more happy with that than having something that I'm going to have to get very close to and squint and try and make out little fonts. I want the entire real estate to be physical real estate as well as resolution wise. So a 5K screen, a 4K screen on a 4K screen on a 21.5 inch display, it's very high resolution, but I want it to be bigger. So I would rather go for two monitors and a slower system than a more expensive version which has a higher resolution screen because it's there. It just doesn't interest me.
That makes sense, but there's one thing I don't understand, Inspector. You're a gamer. Doesn't a massive, brilliant, high-resolution screen look great on games? I mean, I'm not, so I don't know, but I imagine.
Oh yes. Certainly. The more power there is, the better it is, but also the higher the resolution is, the more power you need to be able to get to that resolution and still have the quality. Even looking on the PC side, if you're going to be going to a 4K display, or if you're going into VR, which is basically two HD screens right next to each other that you're going to have to manage at the same time, which is like halfway there, you're having to build these stupidly expensive systems just to be able to do it to a level where you're happy with the result. And quite frankly, if I can play a game at 1080p, I'm happy with that. If I'm playing anything higher resolution, I'd better hope I've got a big enough screen to cover it, and also a powerful enough system to be able to use it as well. Quite frankly, at this cost, for me at least, it's not going to happen.
Hey guys, hate to hijack your podcast, but here's the situation. 3D printing is new. 3D printing is brand new in its infancy, and it's been a little iffy here and there. It's hard for the journeyman to get into it because there's setups and it's kind of gross, and there's plastic and there's failed prints that look like a transporter accident out of Star Trek. But D-Green, the 3D D-Green printer is fantastic. It is exactly two things you have to do when you get it. You put on the printing plate and you feed in the spool of plastic, and that's it. No calibration, no super huge assembly process like there is in some other printers. The accuracy on this prints within 1/10 of a millimeter. It takes PLA plastic, which is normal for 3D printers. It doesn't do ABS plastic, which some say is a disadvantage, but it does a different kind of plastic strand they call wood fill, which I don't know a lot about yet, but I will. Here's the thing. The D-Green is 3D printing like Apple would make it. So that, right now, is my thingy of the week, and you'll be hearing a lot more from me about this in the future as I look at it more for things I can do for physical therapy rehab, for things around the house, etc. Now, let's be clear. This isn't like a Star Trek replicator. There's work to be done. There are things that need to be done to get exactly what you want out of the printer. It's a fantastic device, and I'm just a beginner at this. More to come. Thanks, guys.
Into a teacher of mine from my school, and it's quite rare. It's a teacher I remember and a teacher I like. That's, in the Venn diagram of my school, that was pretty small, but she was involved in introducing computers to schools across Birmingham, and it brought it flooding back. Research machines, the RML 380Z, the odd BBC Micro here or there, and I found myself telling her that I had been interested in computers, but I got out of it. I'd gone into drama and script writing and things, and that those days were long behind me. But what am I doing now? I'm talking to you on a podcast over a Mac, and I am about to drool about the Magic Keyboard 2, a peripheral. In fact, no, as alongside the new iMacs. If you buy a new iMac, you get these, but you can also buy them separately. There is the Magic Keyboard 2. There is the Magic Trackpad 2. And there's also a Magic Mouse 2, but nobody cares about that. Malcolm, do you have peripheral lust, or straight on, direct, full lust?
Really? Peripheral lust?
You look at me like that over and over. Okay, I'll be quiet now, but I want that keyboard.
Okay, with the new keyboard, which is the Magic Keyboard, not the Magic Keyboard 2, because I don't believe there was a first Magic Keyboard, was there?
Oh, do you know, I'm wrong and you're right there. I used to have the wireless keyboard, and actually I preferred the wired for the longer, because the batteries kept going and I liked the numeric trackpad. But you're right, no, I've just invented a class of Apple hardware and then made it obsolete.
Yeah. Generally speaking, all three of these are improvements on existing products. So the keyboard is 13% smaller than the previous wireless keyboard. You have 33% more key stability and optimized key travel because of a change in the scissor movement of the keys. The Magic Mouse 2, it's got fewer moving parts, it's lighter and sturdier, it's got an optimized floor design, allowing it to have a smoother glide. And the Magic Trackpad 2, it's got the force sensors in it, so you've got things like Force Touch in it. And it's also got an edge-to-edge glass surface that's about 30% larger than the previous model.
Actually,
the key
sorry,
thing about...
can I stop you there? It's glass. But I just heard Microsoft announce on their Surface Book that they have a glass thing, and nobody's ever done anything like that before. Did I misunderstand Microsoft?
Really?
Yeah, well, something like that. I might be being a bit harsh, but they did give it the full-on weird, brilliant, it's glass, and I'm thinking...
You do realise that by default a company's got to do the we're brilliant. They've got to do it.
Yeah, but if you're going to big up the trackpad, at least have something behind it. I was actually... Well, grief, this has just come back to me. I was at... it would have been Apple UK, so not the launch of the original trackpad on PowerBooks as it was, but the UK launch of it. I remember looking at that, and as I looked at the little... It would have been PowerPoint, I suppose, then, slide describing this, the Apple guy was saying something like Steve Jobs had said much later, and you can bet your life we've patented this. I looked at this as a journalist, and I thought, give it a week, it'll be on everything. It's so... obviously the right answer. But if I was going to rip it off, I wouldn't, make a headline, let's stop, wait for applause that actually didn't come moment in my presentation.
No, it's if we're really going to go down the route of keyboards, I will say that the best keyboard I used in my life was produced by a company called Cherry.
Cherry keyboards, I remember those. Oh, that takes me back.
Yeah. They're still around and they're still quite expensive, but they were the nice clack of the keyboard down. It was an old-fashioned keyboard. It was the one I held on to the longest. And you had the satisfying click down when you pressed it, and it was brilliant. Nowadays, the membrane keyboards are not necessarily as good as that.
Really clacky. I mean, I learnt to type on a manual typewriter, so I adored these. But now, hard to go back.
Well, nowadays, there's this trend at least in the PC gaming circles, where you have people who are going out and buying mechanical keyboards. And mechanical obviously refers to the internals of the keyboard, not something that can walk around or anything else like that. But they have different switches inside, which it differs completely from a cheaper membrane keyboard. They're very expensive. I can get one for about £100 for an average price.
Right, we're going too far. Let's pull it back to something that I think you are. Well, you may not be as keyboard intensive as me, but this time we're definitely flopping. This is the one that I'm normal about, and you are, with apologies, not. Games. This week, actors in games have decided that they won't be playing the game. Now, I've got to tell you, chess, Sudoku, Mahjong, I've never heard an actor playing any of them. So, have I got that right, that they've stopped, and do we care?
It's been a story that's been coming up in the last couple of weeks. An acting guild, SAG-AFTRA, I have no idea what that stands for, they were doing a vote, or conducting a vote, to see if they will go on strike. This is specifically for voice actors who work in the games industry, so anyone who's voiced people like Master Chief, Lara Croft, that guy from that game where you shoot that guy, and many other similar games like that. They've all voted to see whether they should take strike action or not to improve their pay, to improve their working conditions, and the votes come in that they are 96.52% in favour of voting action. So they could still strike, but they're not necessarily striking right now. But they're basically saying, yes, we can strike. Grr. In their negotiations with publishers.
Can I point out, I'm actually part of the Writers Guild here in the UK, so I do know, and I should say, and I haven't just Googled this while you were talking, SAG-AFTRA is Screen Actors Guild, as you said, but it merged with the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. I thank you. You're welcome. Are you fussed by that? You sound a bit like, nah, might not, but that 90 billion% sounded a bit serious.
Oh yeah, it certainly sounds serious, but like I said, they've even said, the union itself says, this does not mean that members are on strike. Rather, it gives the national board, which is something union-related and something to do with strikes, funnily enough, the authority to declare a strike. So they can strike in the future. They're possibly allowed to, and they're willing to, but they're not just yet. This is more a bargaining chip more than anything at the moment.
Right, it's bringing out the gun to a knife fight kind of thing. The Writers Guild in America is astonishingly powerful, and it has stricken a couple of times, and it has the ramifications, to writers, productions. The whole reason we had a 1980s remake of Mission Impossible is that they had the scripts from the last time, and they could use that. It's worth looking up on YouTube to see how old Jim Phelps looks, but otherwise it's bad all round. But it really changes lives, the strikes. It's a horrible thing in the guild.
Do you remember a couple of years ago where it got to a point where The Daily Show was affected by it?
Oh yes, I'd forgotten.
Yeah, because usually The Daily Show, which was renamed to A Daily Show during the strike, Jon Stewart still had to do the show every day, but he couldn't rely on his team of writers to do anything, and he wasn't allowed to prepare things in advance either. Usually these are very well produced, slickly produced jokes and segments that are made throughout the day, possibly days in advance. And he couldn't do any of that. So for the Daily Show, or a Daily Show in this case, he basically had to walk out there, he had a list of stories, but he couldn't make any jokes before, so everything was just off the top of his head.
Wow. There was... I did not know that, because I actually hadn't heard of A/The Day Show at the time, but there was another late-night comedian, possibly Conan O'Brien, I don't think so, but one of that ilk, who actually paid his writing staff some incredible sum to write.
That's right, it was Conan.
It was Conan. Right.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. Well, funny that should come up right now, because this week, in a world where Steve Jobs opens only in America, courtesy of Conan O'Brien, we have something better. We have Michael Dell, the movie.
Remember, what we do is eliminate the middleman and sell custom-ordered PCs made from stock parts direct to the consumer. That's it. Everyone with me? Good.
Hi. Nothing new to report at Dell. Well, we haven't made any new computers yet, so we'll just keep selling the old ones for now. Okay, bye.
Now, this is just an early prototype.
Looks great, thanks.
Don't you want us to turn it on?
Nah, just start shipping.
But we need to make it great.
No, you need to make it cheap.
What is Project MP? A mouse pad?
Free with every shipment.
Who are we as a company? What do we stand for?
Don't think different. Think sane. And guys, we gotta make these laptops really thick, with the fans in the back, so they can see them cooling down.
Some men want to change the world.
Let me just... Oh. There we go.
Why would the E be like that?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Others don't really care about that stuff.
Michael Dell, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
You can actually watch that clip on YouTube if you just search Conan O'Brien, Michael Dell, and it is very good. They have played with the visuals really nicely. Again, things coming up because they came up. Michael Dell. I was in some business writer, a freelance writer, so I run a business and I get in these things, conferences every now and again. And there was one where a guy did a whole PowerPoint slide. You know you're in trouble when it's PowerPoint. And extolling what Michael Dell had done, the brilliance of this man's career. And I said to him afterwards, you haven't updated your slides in 8 years, have you? Because Michael Dell, yes, brilliant rise to success, but then one of the greatest examples of self-inflicted gunshot wounds to a company, and they're still struggling. I mean, this week they're actually spending billions to buy some other company I've never heard of, so it's not like they've vanished, but they're not what they were before. Let's talk about things that are what they were before. No, they're not. They're just here and we haven't got them. Thingies of the week. Malcolm, give me something. Give me a thingy. A product, a device, a person, a video, something that is occupying you today. Because I love the things you come up with thingies of the week. What have you got? Off you go.
I'm going to have to let you down, aren't I? Unfortunately, no, I don't really have a thingy of the week. I'm not too keen on bestowing the title of thingy of the week on something that I'm in the process of reviewing, because that's giving a review to something when I'm supposed to be reviewing it, which I know is kind of the job of giving a review, but I want to review it first before being able to say it's good enough to be thingy of the week, if you know what I mean. I've got a few things here, but I'd rather not talk about them until I've actually finished reviewing them and actually got a review out for them.
There is a reason that this is the other podcast, and there's a reason that it's you and I going, because as I've said before, I think I know what I'm talking about, but you actually do. Okay, can't fault you for professional reviewing journalism, but I was kind of hoping it'd be a long thing, because my thingies of the week, it's thingies, it's plural and it's still short, are just very short. I want the new 27-inch iMac. I want the new Magic Keyboard. I want the new Magic Trackpad 2. I don't care about the Magic Mouse 2, but nobody does. And I don't have any of them. They are still my thingies of the week, and I don't care. I don't want them that much. Yeah, probably time to shut up now. Malcolm, this time next week I will have stopped salivating. Well, what are the odds? See you then. Bye-bye.